Question is for all three candidates, and we'll start with Mr. Cooper. How will you better address the drug and alcohol problem in the district? And would you be proactive to have a support group in the school system for kids that struggle with addictions?
I'm currently proactive. I assisted Mr. Yogi with the heroin summits. I passed law enforcement. I have multiple contacts in the law enforcement agency in that field. I believe we already have programs, and I'm fortunate enough that I don't have kids that have been involved in that. But I know we have hotlines that have been set up. And I would use those resources, the Green Township Police Department, the Hamilton County Sheriff's Office, to assist us with that if they need.
Thank you. Mrs. Hunter?
Mr. Cooper is right, we do already have programs in place. In fact, I believe there's a new program at the high school that was started with a grant that was received by the staff at the high school. That is another benefit of those mental health services that we are able to offer through Children's Hospital Medical Center, through their psychiatric department. We have psychiatric staff in our buildings, our high school and all three middle schools, that are there to offer counseling for those types of issues as well.
Mr. Ryan?
Absolutely supported that. If there's a need for a group to get together for any number of things, like to see that, I know there's some already for a variety of things, and certainly support that for combating drug abuse and drug addiction. Certainly the PTA has spent a fair amount of time bringing in guest speakers, bringing in programs for the students at the different schools. We continue to do that. We have some great speakers that have come to advisory to talk about the challenge. Obviously spent time talking about the heroin program. We're going to continue to do that as a parent-teacher organization and find what we can bring in to help support the kids and help support the parents so that they know what to look for, what to watch for. That's beyond just drugs. We've done that as well with suicide. And so we continue to be big advocate supporters of the students, trying to find any way we can to help them get successfully through school, both drug-free and still alive and able to take on their lives and their careers.
Thank you. Okay, this next question is for all. We'll start with Mrs. Hunter. Do you believe in term limits? If elected, will you serve all 4 years or will you quit?
Well, I'm certainly not going to be running for president, so I don't see that as an issue. There are not term limits that are in place for school board members. In fact, when we go to the annual school board convention, there are people who have served on various school boards for 20 to 30 years. I do not intend to spend that long on the school board, but I certainly, if elected, I certainly will serve my full 4 years.
Mr. Ryan?
I will certainly serve my full 4 years and hoping there might be an opportunity for a second term. I will admit, I think personally for me, that 8 would probably be the most that I know I would want to take. There's a lot of work with the board. There's a lot of work just attending the board meetings. There's even more work with all the additional amount of material coming at you. I know as a PTA president, I'm always pleased when the second year is over. And I know I'm term limited out because I'm ready for a break. I very much enjoy the work. I enjoy working with everybody. And I enjoy being part of leading that PTA organization, but I'm also ready to see what a new person's going to bring in. I think a good mix is healthy. You need some people that remember when things have happened, why things happen. Having levies 16 years ago, there aren't a lot of people on board, and in some cases even in the district, that remembered when we were going through that. What does it take to pass a levy? By the same token, you also need some fresh new energy. So I do like seeing a mix of that. But would say personally for me, I can't imagine that I would be able to run for a third term at that point. I think for me, at that point, it'd be good for somebody else to have the opportunity.
Thank you. Okay, this next question is for all the candidates. Oh, sorry, Mr. Cooper, I just got you off.
I am a firm believer in term limits. I believe that at 8 years is plenty. And then you should be able to take a 2-year hiatus, and then if you want to get back involved, you should be able to do that again. And like Mr. Rollins said, it gives fresh blood, fresh ideas, and mentally it gives you a break. And yes, I'll certainly want to move forward.
Okay, this next question is for all, and we'll start with Mr. Ryland. Why doesn't Oak Hills have higher test scores? How long has it been since we had a National Merit Scholar? What does the district need to focus on?
Certainly from a test score perspective, this is a heck of a year to ask. Obviously, we just went through the new testing for the new standards that came out for Common Core, and then after 1 year taking those tests, boom, we got another set of tests coming at us. So an interesting time to ask that question because we'll be on our third different set of tests. I know there's a lot of things that contribute to testing. Obviously, I want to see our kids do as well as they possibly can, but I also want to see all of our kids be able to at least succeed to the minimum. And obviously, that's a challenge for us. And so we continue to try to balance that. Obviously, I want to continue to push for that. I do want to see higher test scores. I'm definitely a big fan of that. From a national merit standpoint, I will admit that's not something that's in the Common Core. It's something I struggle with. I had a student that was very close. He was a point or two away from at least being commended and really hoped that he would get there. I think there were certainly some things that he needed that would have pushed him over the edge to that. When you ask him questions in college, though, is he missing that
Thank
piece
you.
of vocabulary?
Okay, Mr. Cooper.
Just covered it all.
Mrs. Hunter.
Actually, I think we have a Merit Scholar finalist that was just announced in the past month. Am I correct? I believe so. So we do have a student that is of that status. Test scores are important, but they do not reflect the total education of a student. And there are many factors that go into the relevance of test scores. You can get into that nature versus nurture argument, so there's obviously not enough time for that tonight. So,
Thank you. This next question is kind of similar, and it's for all, and we'll start with Mr. Cooper. What is your position on testing as mandated by state and federal governments?
For Common Core, correct? So we're done.
Any kind of
testing. I don't.
mandated testing.
Mandated testing, like Mrs. Hunter just said, doesn't show the true score of the child, of the kid's progress. I'm not in favor of all the testing. As far as I know, last year, the Common Core, we were all stressed out, parents, students, and teachers. It's a new thing. It's here to stay. Per a couple of state reps that I've talked to, they said that the Common Core is not going anywhere. It's kind of like the No Child Left Behind, or the new one with, or the old one with Mr. Obama. But he says that it's just going to take getting adjusted. We're just going to have to get adjusted to the testing, and like he said, there's no more test. They got rid of the park testing this year, so we'll see. Now we go to the AIM, I believe, or AIR, and we'll see what happens.
Thank you. Mrs. Hunter.
The Common Core will remain as the Ohio standards, and those standards are in place, and they are what we will be evaluating our students on. Mr. Cooper is correct. Park is out. I learned this Monday night at the board meeting. Park is out, air is in. And so that is the testing that our students will be experiencing. I believe the state legislature did hear the state of Ohio in that the number of tests and assessments has greatly been decreased. And I have heard teachers say already, we're so relieved that this year is already better because we don't have the challenge of constant testing. So it's evolving.
Thank you. Mr. Ryland.
You told me 10 years ago that I might quote Bob Stallworth twice in one night. But it does come back to something rather simple. Are the kids learning, and how can you tell? So as a result, we are going to have testing. Now, having said that, last year was a disaster. We seem to be testing every other week. The test took forever to get results to be able to evaluate. We're testing at additional time before you even knew how you did last time. It had to be curtailed. I'm glad to see that the state of Ohio has dialed that back. And I'm hoping to see possibly some of that dial back even a little bit more. The kids need time with the teachers. They need education, they need instruction, and we're not getting that if we keep dragging them through test after test. You've got to have some testing, I understand that, but we've got to get the right balance, and boy, last year we did not get it.
Thank you. Okay, this question is for all the candidates. We're going to start with Mrs. Hunter. How do you feel about the drama and bullying on social media that carries over to schools?
Unfortunately, I think it is a sign of the times that we live in. 10 years ago, there was no Facebook. 10 years ago, there was no Twitter. Unfortunately, that social media offers an anonymity that people can say whatever they want to, and they feel like there's no repercussions. It's very sad, and I think that schools have to look at ways to be with the times and to look at that as a part of the discipline process within our educational system. And we do that. We actually do that.
Mr. Ryland?
I do think it's unfortunate when that carries over. It is definitely a shame, but we want the kids to have the best possible learning environment. They want them to be here focused on that and not having to deal with the repercussions of people saying what they saw online. Certainly the ability to throw barbs at people with near anonymity is certainly problematic. Will it say, I'm very excited to see some of the things the school district has done, particularly at the middle school level. They bring a program in every year. I had the opportunity to enjoy that presentation this year again, either bringing in somebody from Cincinnati Bell Technical Services to talk to the kids about risks, talking about what they needed to monitor, the smart things to do with online, both from a bowling perspective as well as just general good online usage, which they need to learn before they've made some repercussions that impact their careers of things that they have left online. The year before, they had a very good presentation by somebody from the prosecutor's office. I want to continue to see those kinds of programs coming into all of our schools.
Mr. Cooper?
Just to touch on what both of them have said, it is a problem. We need to educate our parents more. Parents need to be more involved. I know that's with everything, but parents have no idea what their kids are doing at the time on the social media sites. And they come to schools and it's rolling over into the schools. And, you know, it's not only educating the children about the bullying, it's educating the parents on the warning signs of what's really going on, and the school taking it a little more serious when it happens.
Thank you. Okay, this next question is for Mr. Cooper, and then it will go to Mrs. Hunter. Can you explain your vision for Oak Hills as printed on your personal profile?
On the one that was submitted.
Yeah.
Yes. It says, can you explain your vision for Oak Hills as printed on your personal profile?
The one that was submitted to the PTA.
I believe
No, we're talking.
so.
Is that the only one that's made public? I would assume the one that Pam had you guys fill out? Yes. Through advisory. I would assume it'd be the one that was given to advisory council.
My goal, it states for upcoming years, is to make sure that every voice, including teachers, and that every student is accounted for regarding their education. It goes back to what I said about reassuring teachers that the administration has their back when it comes to parent and student situations. It's that having the teachers know that we're here for them, administration's here for them. With the PARCC testing, I spoke to several teachers. In some instances, they don't feel like they've been back when it comes to certain issues in school with parents and teachers, or with parents and students. And we accounted for every, for the regard of their education. That goes back to the 3 employees that I had, that I absolutely couldn't do the things that I said. That's what I'm talking about. Holding everybody accountable to make sure that every student in this district is accounted for. Now, I'm not saying that they're not all. We've got a great program up at the top, but when I have employees that come to me with the things, the situations that I gave to you, that's real.
Mrs. Hunter?
Well, I see a district that seeks to enrich the educational experience, including academic, athletic, creative, and performing arts for students of all different levels of ability to meet their needs at whatever that level might be, whether it's the special needs students or the gifted students or that whole large group in the middle. We need to meet all of their needs and to assist each student to reach their fullest potential.
Mr. Ryland?
For me, it comes down to being a proud Oak Hills graduate, and I want to always be proud of Oak Hills. So I want the opportunity to help